if you're expecting that I'm going to do a mega run and maybe qualify to F1 Esports, I just want to say that you are wrong, because I'm not going to qualify to F1 Esports, because yeah, I'm just not good enough, and I'm just here just having some fun, trying to find my limits in this qualifying, but I didn't even make my intro correctly. So welcome to another video, guys. My name is Tom, and we're going to do the second qualify of F1 Esports. So it was just a little warning at this video, if you're expecting a mega run, or because it's not going to be you know, the case, but we'll see what we can do. The objective of here is just having some fun. In terms of assist, everything is off. You're going to drive on elite, and flashbacks are off, park family rules on, and AI difficulty, I'm going to start with 102, but over the course of this video I'm going to increase the difficulty, and the maximum that I did was on 104. I did some practice before going into this event, and we'll see what we can do. So here's the scenario of the second qualifier of F1 Esports, F1 2021 Esports. Basically, you are Lando Norris, you are in P7, you are in P8, and you must overtake at least Carlos Sainz, that is ahead of you. So it's a pretty simple challenge, and I'm going to talk about my progress and what you should do if you want to qualify to F1 Esports. But you have 7 laps, and basically you have to do 7 time trial laps. You have to basically be pushing in every single lap. You think that time trial is hard and sweaty, in this qualifying it's 10 times worse, because it's not just 1 lap, it is 7 laps, and you have to look out for your tire temperatures. Tire wear is not going to be a problem in this scenario. You have to take care of your battery, because it's not you don't start this run with 100 of battery, you start with like 40 odd %, and you have to be really careful with the fuel mixtures, because you don't want to overheat the engine, which affects a lot the straight line speed. So it's a lot of things that you have to be really careful of, and at the same time you have to overtake these cars, and you have to overtake them in the best spot as possible, not at turn 1 like I was doing. I lost a lot of time by going right outside of Lando Norris, and basically that's pretty much it. And believe it or not, it's a lot of things, and it is on strict corner cutting rules, so you have to be really careful with the track limits, and you know that in this game and in the other games, in every single Codemasters game, the track limits are very way more than in the real life. But we finish our first proper run, and we receive an achievement, because that was my first time driving without the assists, because the only assist that I use so far, it is the manual plus the suggested gear, and here I decided to deactivate that in order to get the best result, because the game rewards you in these qualifiers by going with no assist, with the highest difficulty that you can. The harder the scenario that you put, you know, the higher the score that you're going to get. But that was our first run. It wasn't that good, and now is the time that we start to make mistakes and try to find our limits, and we see that I had a little bit of oversteer at the final cone, which affects a lot the lap time. You have to be flawless in these laps, and like I said, in time trial is kind of easy comparing to this, because it's just 1 lap and you can push as hard as you can, but here you have to do during 7 laps, and we lost a lot of time, as you can see, in our second run with Carlos Sainz, but we managed to go right aside, but we locked up a little bit, so that is going to cost us probably 5 or 6 tenths of a second. He's still there, and I have to giving a very aggressive squeeze, because I want to break the DRS window as fast as I can in order to make sure that he doesn't come back on the second DRS zone of the circuit. But now we are on the last lap, and if you want to qualify to esports, you must be in with the maximum difficulty with 110, and you must overtake Daniel Ricciardo, because yeah, I already seen the runs of the esports guys, and you need to overtake Daniel Ricciardo if you want to be in the level of the guys like Jano Opemir, that at the moment it is on the top of the list in this second qualify, and we'll see. This is the best place that you can overtake a guy, because you're going to have slipstream, so you're going to have a little bit of extra speed, which makes overtake mode, and despite that we're not gaining that much, so we're going to lose even more time with Ricciardo by going down the inside. I think it's very hard to making the already clearing Ricardo and still having the brake zone to manage. You have to leaving a little bit of space, and that is going to cost you lap time. But through the final corner, this is going to be our best result so far. We're going to beat our previous best. This is still in 102 difficulty, and we're going to get very precious points. That's what I really want. And we'll see what is going to be our score anytime soon, please. And yes, there is. We have a 740. And yeah, that's pretty decent. We improved substantially, so I'm starting to feel more confident. I'm starting to find the limits of the track limits, because you need to use every single centimeter of track available to you. And at the moment we find ourselves in the top 6%, so that is not that bad after after two successful runs. I think in this one I had 2 warnings, and just comparing with my friends that on Steam that did the challenge. One of them is Tom 97. Is absolutely impossible. That guy is an absolute weapon in that game. And Anthony, which I believe some of you guys might know him. He's not a very small YouTuber, but he's been grinding a lot. He's a very good driver. He does league racing, so you know that he's definitely not of my caliber. But now it's time to increase the difficulty. We're going to put on 103, and let's see what he can do. But now this is the time that I'm starting to push. I'm starting to make mistakes, and I'm starting to get more and more frustrated. But this is what you want, at least for me. This is the ideal. I need to get below the 135s, and in our first lap I did a 134.7, and that is really important because it gives you a little bit of a confidence boost, because believe it or not, mentality is very important in these esports events. As I made a little mistake, I ran a bit wide, and basically that's the lap pretty much done and dusted. And here I actually catch a bit Norris, maybe thanks to I think I had a warning the previous lap, and that definitely helped to overtake Norris, and he locks up a little bit, and he has a poor run of that happen, and that is going to make things very easy for us, but at the same time it's not going to be ideal, because not going to get that precious slipstream. And then on the last lap we're catching the back of Daniel Ricciardo. But like I was saying, mentality is so important, not just on league racing, but even more in these esports events, because our first lap is really important for you, because if you get a good time you're going to be already motivated, but at the same time you feel so motivated that you start to push too much, and you get those warnings, those penalties, and that's pretty much the run out of the back. So you need to have a cool head, which I didn't have, because I'm not very used to the league racing, to online racing, to competitive racing, you know. I'm more focused on career mode, or not offline racing. And when I jump into online so far, it's been just friendly lobbies, open lobbies, which basically is just carnage. Is not something that's very serious. But in this run we improved our score, and we received a warning, still a warning on lap 52, but now it is a 747, and that is going to get us through to the top 4%. So I was aiming to the top 5%, so we already did that, but I think I can manage something a bit better. So this is now with 104 difficulty, and this is my best run. So this is the run that got me to my best score. So into the first corner of this challenge, you can use as much curve as you can. Don't try to hit the ball out, because you get the risk of the warning, but you definitely can mount that curve with a lot of confidence, because you don't get any warnings. This corner is very important. You need to be very careful with the brakes, because it's so easy to lock up. It's very similar to turn 9, I believe, of the Bahrain circuit. This corner is so hard to manage, and not getting a warning, but that was so perfect. Through the penultimate corner is I think the easiest corner to get a warning in this challenge. It's not even the complex of corners, the S's on the first sector, but first lap 134.7, so that is ideal, and we'll see what you can do. Into the first corner, it is a blind corner. Make sure to hit the apex. That was actually pretty good. I see some guys shifting down to second gear to get a little bit of that extra rotation. It's not that big like it was in F1 2019, but it still makes a little bit of a difference. If you see the onboard laps from the guys at Esports, they sometimes shift down very quickly a gear below in order to get the car rotate a little bit better and do the corner a bit faster. And one thing that is really important, it is the upshift. If you're doing a corner in second gear, when you're starting to accelerate, shift up, I should say, straight into third gear, because you can floor the throttle pretty easily, and you're going to gain time. So So upshifting in the tracks and zones very early is very important in this challenge. In the S's you can abuse a little bit these curves, but don't be too aggressive, because if you put more than half a car on those curves, you're going to get for sure a warning. But this is not the best place to overtake our teammate, as we're going to try to go run outside, but this time I'm very late on the brakes, but thankfully I didn't locked up, but he's going to come back because he has the inside line. But I'm going to give that very aggressive squeeze in order to make sure that he doesn't come back in the second DRS zone, and a little bit hesitant, as you can see, in the steering wheel, making little corrections, and that really affects your result, as we're going on our previous best in the first sector. But these little corrections that I'm doing with the steering wheel, you can't do that in esports level. You have to be so precise and very smooth, because this game rewards you so much when you're smooth with the steering wheel. It is the way to go in this game. If you're too aggressive, you're going to damage your tires. And in my first days in the game, I was very aggressive with the steering wheel, and I was always suffering on the steer because I was too aggressive with the tires, and maybe that caused a lot of temperature in the surface temperature. So you must be smooth in this game. It is the way to go, and you must avoid these little corrections that I'm doing with the steering wheel, because I'm not very precise, and I don't have at the moment the best mentality to do these challenges, because I start to feel a lot of pressure. In this last lap it was being a good run. I'm not going to overtake Daniel Ricciardo as we're going for the final corner, and that was so cautious for the final corner. I didn't even try to mount that curb on the inside because I was so nervous to get another warning, because I just had one, but we crossed the line, and this was our best run. So I decided to get a different format in this video and not show the whole run, just showing the highlights of my progress. So let me know in the comments what you like to see in the third qualifying, if you want to see everything of my best run, or if you want to see my progress over the course of a qualifying. But we improved just a little bit our score, and that is going to be enough to put us in 239th. So I'm happy. It is a top 4%, but if I didn't make those mistakes, if I was pushing in every single lap, if I was consistent, definitely I would be able to get a top 3%. But I did this in the last few days of the qualify. I was supposed to do on Sunday my final run, but I wasn't very focused, because especially what happened in the real life Bahrain Grand Prix with Bowman Grosjean, so I wasn't very motivated to drive. So Saturday was my last day in this qualifying, but I'm really happy, and now I'm going to show you the mistakes that I've been doing over the course of this qualifying, because you're going to do mistakes. You're going to do a lot of mistakes, because you will learn with these mistakes, and that's the most important thing to do in racing games. You have to learn from these mistakes. You have to see where are the track limits, and see where you can gain that extra tenth of a second. In my first runs, just to give an example, in my first runs on 102 difficulty, I wasn't even that mounting the curbs on the S section, but then I started to try things, and that really worked. So you need to find the limits, you need to practice a lot. Make sure to use setups as well. Setups are mandatory in these challenges, because believe it or not, setups make the whole difference. For me, if I use a setup, I'm going to be like 1 second and a half faster per lap in comparing with the default setup. So definitely setups are very important. Brake bias, I always put everything at the back in order to not lock up that much, and make sure to find the limits, and make sure to practice as much. I know that I'm not a fast driver. It's not my intention to go to esports. I don't do league racing because I don't have time, so I'm not that perfect in the game. I'm not very consistent. I'm just focusing on career mode, like I was saying. But I really like these esports events. It makes me learn more the game, more the track limits, and it makes me a better driver. So if you don't qualify to F1 Esports, if you want to progress in this game, if you want to get better, if you want to improve your lap times, these events are really important. And you're going to do mistakes, yes, it can be very frustrating, but you'll become a better driver, and that is a very rewarding feeling, trust me. But guys, that has been the video, my second qualify on F1 Esports. I didn't do the first one because unfortunately I didn't have time, but I'm willing to do the rest of them. But for me is everything, and make sure to smash like, subscribe if new to plenty more Formula 1 content, and make sure to let me know on the comment section below what did you think of this video. So thank you so much for the support that you guys have been giving on the channel in these last few days, really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys on a brand new video next time. But for now, it's goodbye.